Hey guys, what's up? Another day here in the shop. Let's see what we're working on today. Just put this one up in the air. It's a 1969 Chevrolet Camero, kind of a custom build a customer of mine has. It's got a lot of goodies that we'll talk about, but we're actually converting this car from carbureted to EFI using the Holley Sniper 2. So let's take a look at where we're going to get started. All right guys, just opened up the box, got everything out. There's the throttle body. Again, it has the computer inside the actual throttle body itself, the drivers and everything for the injectors. Came with a wide variety of fittings. Got the inline fuel pump with a pre and post filter. Got the wire harness and the water temperature switch and the O2 sensor that we'll be putting in. So I put several of these kits on before. They go pretty seamless install, and so let's take a look. All right, the first thing we're going to do is remove the electronic fuel pump that someone had up in here from the previous build and when it was carbureted. So we're going to remove that, and we're just going to use a piece of the supplied fuel line to connect from the fuel pump pickup, from the fuel pickup inside the tank over to the factory line. And we're going to chase that up the frame, find a nice spot that is lower than the gas tank, and we're going to cut this factory fuel line out and utilize that for a pump location. All right guys, we're going to go ahead and mount the fuel pump. Knocked out a quick bracket with a few little simple bends in it that we're going to put in here. Actually going to locate this off the factory, but the recent build subframe connectors. I'm going to tie that in right there, and that'll give me somewhere to bolt that fuel pump to that is as high up in the side rail of the car as possible. When it's actually put into place, it'll be about right here, and then the pump will be certainly a lot higher than the exhaust or any of the rest of the part of the frame. So we'll go ahead and get that burned in now and then bolt in the pump. All right, got the bracket welded in place. Went ahead and cut the fuel line on the tank and the engine side. So now we'll mount up that fuel pump and see what it looks like. All right guys, got the fuel pump mounted just outside the subframe rail. It appears that it hangs a little low from this angle, but when you're up at street level, I don't think you'll even see it. And again, of course, I'm going to paint it black. I wanted to get it somewhere as low as I could underneath the fill level of the tank, and as far away from the exhaust as I could, and protected by not only the body and the subframe connector. So it should be a good fit for it. And again, it's much higher than get down to the level of the exhaust. It's much higher than the exhaust on the car, so clearance shouldn't be an issue. All right guys, the next thing I do is this bulkhead fitting. Feed this in. This is going to be for the return, and I actually kind of fish the nut down inside there. It's a little tedious, but what this will do is when the system is running, it'll actually return the excess fuel up to here and over and down into the filler neck and return in the cycle. That way we don't have to drop the tank. I've done this on several and it works great. All right, got the fuel pump all plumbed in with a pre-filter, pump, and post filter. All hooked up and ready to go. Went ahead and ran the ground wire up and over the subframe and ground down a good spot. Did a self-driller into the subframe there, so it should have a great ground. And now we'll start running fuel lines. All right guys, got that return fuel line. Hard to see up in there, but got the return coming from the filler neck down. Chase that around. Got that chasing the factory. Let's move the camera here. Chasing the factory 3/8 fuel line down. We've got that all the way down, chasing the fuel pump, and the trigger wire, which is the hot, which is the blue for the fuel pump, and the return line. I've got just a lot of extra slack here draped, and we'll take care of that when we get the car down on the ground. Got everything cleaned and went ahead and painted it black so it'll further disappear. And while I had it in the air, went ahead and did a weld-in bung for the O2 sensor. They supply a clamp-on kit, which works well. Grab this over here and show you. and it just clamps on. But the exhaust size of this car is 3-inch and the clamps don't go that big. So I went ahead and just opted to do a weld-in bung. That's all cooled off now, so I'll clean it up a little bit and get rid of some of the slag and go ahead and screw in the O2 sensor, so that'll be done from underneath. And got the O2 sensor in, got it snugged up, and went ahead and routed the wire up high. Of course, it's just at a place where it's ready to be plugged up once I drop the wiring down from the actual throttle body. But got that in, it's up, got plenty of clearance, so there shouldn't be any issues with ground clearance. Got all of the wires and fuel line prepped with extra to go up front. Fuel filters and fuel pump installed and return installed. So we are technically done underneath the car. All right, let's get it down low and start pulling the carburetor off. All right, under the hood, certainly a big block Chevrolet. Customer was told when they bought the car it's a 502 crate motor. Car has 427 badges on it and is a factory big block car, but this is not a numbers matching engine. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling the carburetor off and get everything prepped to set that EFI unit on it. All right, got the carburetor off, and now we're gonna demo out the old fuel lines because we're gonna be putting in the high pressure fuel injection fuel line. So I'll be removing this fuel line and filter system, running the new fuel lines and regulator, and then we'll set the EFI unit on and get rid of whatever they've got going here. We'll clean all that up too. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? Second day on the Camero project. Started yesterday about lunchtime, so decided to finish it up this morning. Went ahead and mounted the fuel pressure regulator. This actually works off the return, so it doesn't regulate the inlet pressure, it regulates the return pressure. So we got that mounted up, got the fuel lines ran, just some extra slack mocked up, got everything tucked down. Really clearance from the header, shouldn't be any issues there. Getting ready to set the throttle body on. Got the throttle body set on the intake, had to do a minor modification to the throttle body rear ear because of the throttle linkage adapter that they have on this car. But other than that, she's sitting in place, getting ready to bolt it down and start plumbing fuel. Went ahead and buttoned up the throttle linkage, return springs, and kick down TV cable for the transmission. So now we'll hook up the pressure, fuel, and the return lines. And there we go. Got the feed line on right here for the high pressure in. It cycles through and then returns out back to the regulator where it's regulated, and then dumps it back to the return in the gas tank. So now we're going to put in the temperature switch, and then we'll start wiring it up. As of right now, all the plumbing and the mechanical linkage and everything is connected. Vacuum's hooked to the brake booster in the back. All we have to do is that temp sensor and some wiring. All right, got the temperature sensor, water temperature sensor installed in the intake, and ran the wire out of the main harness back down, clear of the exhaust, and went down and plugged that up to the O2 sensor. So now we will start on the main wire harness. All right, got the harness back here. Got the harness off the ECU plugged in and wired down. Got that blue wire coming from the fuel pump tied into the harness. Went ahead and mounted the main relay and the main fuse. Now these are the outputs. I've got those just bundled up for now. I'm gonna control the helper electric fan with that. This is just the umbilical cord for the screen. I've got it under the hood right now just for setup and make it easier. I'm not in and out of the car and in and out of the car. We've got our hot and ground ran, kind of got it hid up in the fender, tied to some other wires so they're secure. This Optima red top has posts on the side and the top, so I use the top post dedicated for the negative and positive to the sniper. They're really picky about that. The snipers want a good connection directly to the battery for positive and ground dedicated connections, so it worked out really well. Here in a few minutes we'll finalize some of the small things and get the screen powered up. I do have the pink wire that's very critical. Run over to switched hot and hot while crank. And then I've got the yellow wire running to the negative of the coil. So I believe I've got everything wired up. We'll just have to click on the key, run the wizard, set all the parameters, and I'll run through that with you. And then we'll listen to the fuel pump fire up and build some pressure, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then we'll fire it up. All right, we're gonna give this a shot. We're gonna cycle the key on. We've already ran the wizard. We wanted to make sure everything was working. I'm actually going to go back through here in a few minutes and run through the wizard again to show you how to set that up. And then we'll run the screen inside the car and do a few little button-up things, and this car will be ready for a road trip. All right, we're going to run through the wizard real quick. So we're going to go to wizards. We're going to go to sniper wizard. We're going to go to sniper 2, and next I'm going to say it's 8 cylinders. We're going to double click this and clear this out. We're going to put in 5, where is it at? 02. We're going to save it. We're going to tell it yes, that's correct. Our target idle speed somewhere around, let's double click that. Let's clear that out and say we want to do 750 RPMs. We want to say save. Next. Nope. It's kind of sensitive. Say 740. Next. We're going to say it's a street strip cam. We're going to say it has no power adders. We're going to say it's a CD box, because this actually is running off of a MSD CD box. Okay, it's uploading the file to the ECU. It's going to tell us to cycle the ignition and complete the operation. At that point, once we turn the key on and off, the setup wizard is complete. Although I had already done this, I wanted to do it again just to show. We'll turn the key off, turn the key back on, let the fuel pump run. Keep running. All right, guys, there it is. 69 Camero, 502 big block with a Sniper 2 basic install. There's a lot of things that the system offers that we're not touching into today, but a nice basic install for you in case you were wondering. It's not that technical, but it is something that does require a little patience and time, but it'll be well worth it when it's done. As always, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the channel. Nothing really Jeep related this week on this video, but I do a couple of these snipers a year, and I wanted to go ahead and do a detailed video on that and see if that doesn't help somebody if they have any questions or just simply concerned or wondering how the system works. So there it is. Got the 69 Camaro all dialed in, and we're going to shut her down and go home for the night. We'll see you soon.